In the blink of an eye, hand seals a few times larger than before shot toward Duanmu Sheng and Ming Shi'in. Ming Shi'in hurriedly produced his 20-foot-tall avatar and blocked the hand seals, but the impact knocked him back a few steps. When he finally managed to stabilize himself, he felt his chi and blood rock and his arms turn numb. After gaining the upper hand, Zhou Xinchan said indifferently, "Is Fiend Temple qualified to talk to the Evil Sky Pavilion now?" "Qualified my ass." It surprised everyone when they saw Duanmu Sheng flare up. Even Zhou did not expect that his third disciple, who was calm, steady, and behaved as a kind senior brother in front of him, would turn into a boorish man. After shouting once, Duanmu Sheng simply injected his energy into the chain that bound him and swung it fast and hard. Fortunately, the great hall was spacious enough, or else it would have been destroyed by him. Bam, bam, bam. He jumped forward and dragged Zhou Xinchan into another fierce battle, filling the air with waves of energy again. Despite the fierce attack, however, everyone could tell that there was a gap between their cultivation bases, and that's where Xinchan was purposely using Duanmu Sheng to show his prowess. Meanwhile, Zhou watched them fight in silence. He did not say anything, nor did he intend to stop them. By watching them fight, he could learn more about his disciples' strength and cultivation base while taking a good look at the strength of Zhou Xinchan, who was a deputy chief of Fiend Temple. Although Ji Tiandao had defeated the experts of the righteous sects many times and shown the world his mighty prowess, every righteous cultivator knew that he would grow old and weak one day. So far, no one in the cultivation world could break through this limitation. Fiend Temple, on the other hand, was the most ambitious sect in today's cultivation world. It had been building up its strength by gobbling up other sections. In the past, it had even clashed with the Nether sect, but there was never a large-scale conflict as they both feared each other's strength. Its attack of the female cultivators of derived Moon Palace was just an excuse, and its true purpose was to visit Golden Court Mountain, form an alliance, and show off its strength. However, did Zhou really need an ally? And what made Fiend Temple think that they were qualified to be his ally? There were many powers in this huge world. Fiend Temple was not the only one who wanted to join hands with Golden Court Mountain, and it was nowhere near as good as others in terms of status, qualification, and strength. It was a little ridiculous when it proposed an alliance with just a deputy chief who ranked third on the black roll. Therefore, Zhou did not stop his disciples from getting angry. As the battle progressed, the difference between their cultivation bases became more and more apparent. Then, Zhou Xinchan knocked Duanmu Sheng back with a powerful blow and threw him into Pan Zhong's arms. Bam! The force of the impact sent Pan Zhong several steps backward, numbing his arms. "Mr. Third, you shouldn't fight him again," he urged. At this point, Duanmu Sheng finally realized that the gap between their cultivation bases could not be made up by his incredible resistance. Ming Shi'in jumped into the middle of the Great Hall again. The battle between two nascent divinity tribulation experts proved to be livelier because they needed to find ways to defeat their opponent while controlling their attacks, so that they did not cause major damage to the building. Just like Duanmu Sheng, years of suffering from Ji Tiandao had made Ming Shi'in stronger than any opponent of the same cultivation level as him. However, his opponent this time was a nascent divine tribulation expert with a four-leaf avatar. The battle had made Zhou Xinchan grow so conceited that he simply forgot himself. Under the enhancement of his four-leaf avatar, he cried out in a deep voice, "Understand the mind and see the disposition." Then he placed one palm on top of the other over his dantian and kept his mind blank. The move was called Dhyana Mudra, which was one of the strongest moves of the Zen teaching. As soon as the seal appeared, it suppressed all the energy waves in the surroundings and knocked Ming Shi'in flying backward. Senior brother. Little Yuaner looked worried. The result horrified Zhou Jifeng and Pan Zhong as well. They could not believe that the deputy chief of Fiend Temple, Zhou Xinchan, was so strong. At the same time, they finally understood why Fiend Temple could become a terrifying power among the evil sects in just 3 short years. The battle was over, but Zhou Xinchan did not retract his ink-colored avatar, nor did he put away the Dhyana Mudra. He was very satisfied with the result as he looked up and said, "Are the 3 misters satisfied with the outcome of the battle?" The great hall was silent, and no one answered his question. How could you have the cheek to show off? You are a nascent divinity tribulation cultivator, and you have a 4-leaf avatar. Little Yuaner said, unconvinced. Mr. Third and Mr. Fourth are no ordinary cultivators. I was forced to use the Dynama Draw. Yes, I admit that I was bullying them by using the skill, and I beg your pardon. Little Yuaner had never seen such a shameless person before. If eldest senior brother and second senior brother were here, they would definitely beat the SH*T out of you, even if you have a 6-leaf avatar. Little Yuaner said angrily. Zhuo knew that it was just a face-saving remark, so he did not take it to heart. It was then that Zhou spoke again, in an old but powerful voice. Zhuo, that immediately attracted everyone's attention. You have used your Dynama Draw cleverly. I thank old Senior G for compliment. If possible, I wish to have a practice fight with old Senior G. That startled Duanmu Sheng, Mingshi Yin, Liu Yuaner, Zhou Jifeng, and Pan Zhong. The 4 men behind Zhuo also appeared to be slightly taken aback. It was not part of the plan. Even peak nascent divinity tribulation experts who own 7 or 8-leaf avatars would not dare to make such a request. They wondered what their deputy chief's purpose was in doing this. He had already achieved the goal after defeating Duanmu Sheng and Mingshi Yin, so why did he have to make an unnecessary move? Lu Zhou's eyes were indifferent, and his expression was calm. He was not surprised by the request. In the center of the great hall, the Dynama Draw glowed like ink while the avatar kept its illusory form, showing everyone its mighty power. They seemed to be waiting for Lu Zhou to fight them. Zhuo raised his voice and said, Old Senior G doesn't have to worry. My Dynama Draw can block ultimate skills. If Old Senior can defeat me in less than 10 moves, I'll be at your disposal. His tone was proud and somewhat arrogant. Lu Zhou slowly rose to his feet and rested his eyes on Zhuo. Evil Sky Pavilion is no longer as powerful as it used to be. His strong voice grew louder as he said, but it's still not a place where mean creatures like you can act wantonly. When he had finished, he stretched out a hand and spread his fingers, facing the palm outward. Meanwhile, a deadly strike card formed a tiny vortex in his palm. Spinning counterclockwise, the vortex suddenly expanded and burst into a blinding light. When the light reached its brightest level, Lu Zhou gently gave a flick of his sleeve. A supersized hand seal flew toward Zhuo, looking like the Buddha's palm. The great seal of the fearless? Zhuo cried out. His Dynama Draw was tiny when compared to it. Deputy Chief, the 4 men shouted at the same time. The indescribable power had frightened everyone present. How did the Buddha's palm hold down the monkey? It was exactly like the Great Seal of the Fearless. 1-1. Buzz. In the blink of an eye, the Great Seal of the Fearless devoured the Dynama Draw. Zhuo widened his eyes as he raised both his arms and produced thousands of Dynama Draws, while the power of his 4-leaf avatar exploded out. Despite all his effort, the Great Seal of Fearless pressed on, unhindered, and swallowed all the tiny Madras. Then, with a loud boom, the supersized seal crashed onto Zhuo chest and knocked him flying backward, throwing him into the courtyard outside Evil Sky Pavilion. Bam! The crowd was surprised to see how strong he was, for he managed to survive the attack from a villainous Patriarch. When Zhuo was thrown into the courtyard, he did a backflip and brought himself down on both feet, cracking the stone slab that paved the ground as he landed. He managed to stand firm and straight, but his eyes were full of fear. The great hall was so quiet that one could even hear a needle drop on the floor. Lu Zhou's expression was as calm as ever. So, this is the indescribable power? He thought to himself. He never expected that the deadly strike card would come in the form of a Great Seal of Fearless, because he had never cultivated the Zen teaching before. In his memory, he only knew some of its basic seals and ultimate moves, and he had not tried to cultivate them. He did not understand why the card would produce that. He had barely thought of them when he used it. Deputy Chief. Zhuo men rushed out into the courtyard with a frightened look on their faces. Their intuition told them that their leader could not withstand this attack. Duanmu Sheng, Mingshi Yin, Little Yuaner, Zhou Jifeng, and Pan Zhou walked out of Evil Sky Pavilion behind them as well. Lu Zhou was the only person left in the Great Hall, and he slowly sat down. He did not need to follow them. The moment he attacked, he already felt the strength of the power. He was the only one who had experienced the power of Ji Qindao's Peak Form Experience card, so he knew how strong the card was. How strong was it exactly? Judging for what he felt just now, it seemed to be stronger than the Peak Form Experience card, since it could knock Zhuo away. However, the latter managed to resist it, which seemed to prove that it was only slightly stronger than him. Is it a card that will adjust its power according to the opponent's strength? Lu Zhou wondered. It was a pity that he only used it once, so he did not have enough data to refer to. Nevertheless, it was indeed an indescribable power. The four black-clad cultivators approached as well as Xinchan first, stopping about 10 meters from him and not going any further. From the broken stone scattered around him in the damaged ground, they could tell how great was the force he had used to stabilize himself when he landed. Deputy Chief, they found as Xinchan stood to the spot unmoving, as if it turned into stone, staring at the Evil Sky Pavilion in horror. Without going through what he had gone through, they could never understand his present mood and feelings. However, they were sure about one thing. He was defeated by just one move. The four men looked at Xinchan in horror. They had never seen him look like this. One of them went gingerly before him and raised a hand to wave it in front of his face. Yet, he still stared straight ahead at the Evil Sky Pavilion, unblinking. Right then, a gust of wind blew across the courtyard. Xinchan's ink-colored energy drifted out of him, and in the next instant, his whole body broke down into a cloud of dust, which was then carried away by the wind. In the span of a few breaths, he had disappeared from the world, leaving only the ground he had damaged and the two holes created by his feet. The expert who was ranked third on the black roll had fallen. Duanmu Sheng, Mingshi Yin, and the others swallowed as they watched the scene incredulously. They were shocked, but at the same time, they felt that their anger had been vented. The unbridled fellow had brought this upon himself by acting wantonly in the Evil Sky Pavilion. However, they felt that it was a little bit too savage to wipe him out with a palm strike. They could not help but wonder how profound was their master's cultivation base, and how many tricks he hid up his sleeves. As the disciples who had followed him for so many years, they had never seen him use a hand seal of the Zen teaching before. So, how could they not be shocked when he suddenly used one to kill Xinchan? After a long silence, Mingshi Yin said, "Master's temper? He deserved to die." Duanmu Sheng poked Mingshi Yin. Mingshi Yin nodded and said, "Yes, they all deserve to die." The four black-clad cultivators were in an awkward situation now. With Xinchan dead, they had lost their leader, so they shivered with fear and no longer wore the same proud expression. They were peak divine court experts, but so what? Every person in Evil Sky Pavilion was at least a divine court expert. Mingshi Yin flexed his muscles as he grinned wickedly and said, "Do you want to see my 100 tribulations inside Avatar?" For Mr. Fourth Yu. The four men were so scared that they could hardly talk, and they kept stepping backward when they saw Duanmu Sheng and Mingshi Yin about to leap toward them like they were some prey. Right then, Lu Zhou's voice rang out of the Evil Sky Pavilion. "Go back and tell your sect leader to restrain his men." Now that their master had spoken, Mingshi Yin naturally dared not to attack the men again. "Get out of my sight." He glared at the black-clad cultivators. Inside Evil Sky Pavilion, Lu Zhou heard a system prompt that he was rewarded with 1,000 merit points. He had spent 500 merit points to purchase the card, and he had received 1,000 points after killing a nascent divinity tribulation expert with it. In other words, his earnings were double the cost. Although the card was amazing, he had to use it with care in the future. With its power so indescribable, he could not use it on someone he did not wish to kill. Previously, Lu Zhou asked Xinchan if he knew why he asked him to come up the mountain. He had two purposes. The first one was to learn about Fiend Temple's motive, and the second one was to try the card. If truth be told, he did not intend to kill Xinchan. Nevertheless, the man was already dead, and he might as well use it as a warning for the Fiend Temple. Duanmu Sheng, Mingshir-in and the others returned to the great hall. Master is indeed the mightiest man in the world. The hand seal reduced that guy to ashes. Mingshir-in flattered. Master, I want to learn that skill. Liu Yuana ran beside Liu Zhou and massaged his shoulders like a filial granddaughter. Liu Zhou shook his head and said, "Don't be silly. You are cultivating the Supreme Purity Jade Slip, which focuses mainly on movement techniques and fist styles, and they contradict the Zen teaching. Are you not afraid that you will go on an evil path? People out there already call us evil." Little Yuana murmured, "Pipe down." Liu Zhou raised his voice. Liu Yuana pursed her lips and stopped talking. Duanmu Xing felt a little puzzled, and he asked, "Master, why did you let them leave?" Before Liu Zhou could answer, Mingshir-in already said, "Master just wants to make an example as with Xin-chan to scare the rest, and not really wants Fiend Temple fall. Fiend Temple is ambitious and wants to expand its power, but eldest senior brother, the Nether Sect is its hindrance. If the Fiend Temple is gone, who will contain the Nether Sect?" Duanmu Xing did not seem to quite understand. So Xin-chan is Fiend Temple's deputy chief after all. Now that he is dead, Fiend Temple will surely avenge him, right? You think too much. What can they do even if they are angry? Are they going to bring all their disciples and attack Golden Court Mountain? He left some words unsaid, but what he tried to say was obvious. Would Fiend Temple dare to attack Golden Court Mountain when even Yu Zhenghai dared not? Besides, Golden Court Mountain had repelled the top 10 experts not too long ago, and even the sect leader of Heavenly Sword Sect Luo Changfeng, who owned a 7-leaf avatar, was defeated by their master. Who would dare to attack them now? When he had finished, Mingshir-in looked proud of himself. Mr. Fourth has a point. It enlightens me, Pan Zhong said while bowing. He was puzzled as well, but the explanation cleared his doubts. Mr. Fourth is indeed a genius. That answered my doubts too, Zhou Jifeng said seriously. Mingshir-in was confused. Aren't these two fools flattering the wrong person? He thought, and carefully glanced at Liu Zhou from the corner of his eye. Liu Zhou was not angry, as he was just thinking. This guy is really good at analysis, and his points are clear and logical. There seems to be some truth in what he said. Meanwhile, the 4 black-clad cultivators returned to the ink-colored dragon chariot. All the other cultivators found it hard to believe when they learned that their deputy chief was dead, and they dared not to stay at the foot of the mountain any longer. However, it became extremely tough for them to control the chariot without Zhou Xin-chan. In the end, they managed to take it to the air, but it flew very slowly. The dragon chariot flew back the same way it came. It was flying very slowly and had not even flown more than 100 miles after 1 hour. Cultivators in black robes surrounded it and kept pouring their energy into the vehicle. Suddenly, they saw a figure hovering in midair ahead of them. He wore a blue robe and had a head of disheveled black hair. His arms were crossed over his chest, with a sword carried on his back. The swordsman floated in midair with a relaxed look on his face, seeming to have been waiting for a long time. Faint wisps of energy swirled around him, and he was wreathed in an unspeakable, bizarre aura. Meanwhile, the sword behind his back glowed with a faint red light. Even if this group of black-clad cultivators had not seen much of the world, they could still recognize the aura of an expert. As a result, the ink-colored dragon chariot was forced to stop.